I had so many varied expressions during this trailer that it looked like a mashup of every thumbnail reaction. Oh, we had the whole caboodle the other night. So grab your popcorn or whatever snack you eat around your house, mud, whatever it is, chuck it in a cup, Recession's here, and let's take a little squiz at why this trailer looks so good and the names behind it and why CSM fans are going to be eating good this year. So first up is the animation. Frantic action, nuanced character acting, hair sakuga, clothing sakuga. This trailer doesn't compromise on either. Unfortunately, it's difficult to tell who did what, but one animator that sticks out regardless is Hironori Tanaka. Tanaka couldn't be more of a perfect fit for a series that features an obsessive amount of gore. He has an unnerving skill in drawing gruesome imagery, and that's definitely all here. Of course, there's more to making something intense than just blood everywhere. What makes his work stand out is the sense of realism to his drawings. These images from Jujutsu Kaisen and JoJo are great examples. Rather than clean and simplified shapes like you often see in anime, his work couldn't be more different, with very complex shading, detailing many of the little creases in the skin and small plane changes. Like one example is that you have two muscle groups on your forearm, and the way that they attach leaves like a little pool, you could say. And you can see him depict that right here. Like, his knowledge of anatomy is incredible, and with that he twists and contorts the skin. Here it works great in depicting the force behind this tug, and of course the hand posture and fingers play a part in that as well. 10 out of 10 hands. A lot of the action here, like you might expect, is just really quick snippets, so there's a lot going on. One of the first bits of interest is with this beautiful creature. The camera work alone carries a lot of force as it tracks the main hit into the ground. If it was just a standard wide shot with a still camera as the creature smacks his tentacles or whatever these are, it just wouldn't have the same amount of energy. The slight delay before the explosion of debris was nice as well, and love the effects work in general. This next cut also seems to be Tanaka just based on his drawings. That shading style really sticks out and in a good way. Definitely happy that his work was left untouched. But also with the blood, he draws it with this very sort of bumpy texture. The smears as well, it's highly likely this is his work, and it's my favourite bit from the fighting. The poses are very strong and the mist from the blood is incredibly detailed, but it's the clever use of blood, of all things, that creates this super cool transition when Denji launches right at the camera. It's an energetic cut and a perfect way to finish off the trailer. And I'll also mention quickly that he seems like he's in other parts of this trailer. Very curious to find out actually how much he did here. But as nice as the action is, it's more so a lot of the animation prior that stuck out to me a little more. The scene with Power in particular is one of the best here. The first cut looks smooth, but that's pretty obvious to everyone watching. So how did the animator do it? Well, firstly, there is the high frame rate. This is mostly on 1s and occasionally 2s, and features tight spacing which gives a smooth feel. Although smoothness isn't an instant guarantee to realism. Hair naturally moves independently to the rest of the body, so its physics are going to differ, and especially considering it's a fairly light feature. Still, since a large part is tightly attached to the head, which is of course a heavier object, and Power has long hair, there's an offset in how this area moves. And so it's rather the principle of overlapping action and drag applied that makes it feel believable. Notice as the hair moves to the left, the bottom part is dragging behind. There's a delay in the motion. And since these are strands of hair, the movement isn't going to be uniform, and the animator here is definitely aware of that. You can see it with how this one here actually curls up, and since it's sort of separate from the main clump of hair, it's even lighter, so it takes a little longer to come in. By having different hair strands move independently, it gives a loose quality which provides that sense of realism to this cut. And that definitely goes for the next two. It's quite animated. The way she turns her foot in, then the little stomp, and also the arcs, poses, and smears. There's a lot of charisma to the actions. Additionally, there are other touches. With the shadows of the window frame animated across her body, it's a nice detail that makes the character feel like they are part of this environment. Perfect introduction. Now, as good as the animation is, it wouldn't look this good without a good storyboard to back it up. And boy, does Ryu Nakayama provide a good one. Very diverse when it comes to shot selection. There's the excellent ground level one to start the trailer off. Then with the overhead shot next, quite a common shot pairing. The overhead one makes those around look insignificant and weak, although they're dead, so the latter's kind of achieved already, whereas the low one gives a sense of height and with that superiority, or strength you could say. An overhead one also helps center the audience's attention better, as you're not getting lost in the environment around said characters. I noticed also that Nakayama particularly likes using extreme close-ups, often focusing on certain things like hands, eyes, mouths. It's very intimate but also eerie at the same time, as in some of these he obscures the face. It gives a feeling that these characters are just gotta burst out with energy at any moment, and that they literally do. The first half, Nakayama is clearly building up the suspense before everything just goes crazy. He's also the director here, and his track placement, or lack thereof in certain portions, complements that to the T, especially with another breakcore track to bless our eardrums. Lot of energy. Also, I only started listening to that genre this year, so glad to see it make its way over to an anime. And hats off and a 21-gun salute to Kensuke Yoshio for the track. I'm still bopping Ping Pong soundtrack to this day, and the fact that he's also worked on another favourite of mine, Space Dandy, man, I am so happy he's here. Now we've talked about animation, storyboard, what else is there might you ask? Well, it's a feature I rarely talk about, and that's the compositing. These are the type of images that make people usually go, wow, look how good the animation is. No, this is a still drawing. Besides that, the lighting is gorgeous, a strong feeling of warmth through many scenes, especially through the vibrant glow effect added to skin and hair to illustrate that transition of light that you naturally don't get if you have just two flat tones together. And there are other effects like ambient occlusion, soft gradients. It likewise ties into the more realistic aesthetic this show seems to be going for. Also, some background info. The director of photography here is Teppei Ito. He worked in the same role on Jujutsu Kaisen, so he has definitely done some nice work before, although within the movie and now this, he's definitely shown a lot of growth between each project. I guess the simplest way to describe his work here is refined. Now, the final figure to note is Tatsuya Yoshihara. Remember Itadori taking on Tree Dude, giving him a couple of smooth kicks, or Megami and Maki giving it to Tree Man? That's Yoshihara. With credits across just about everything, One Punch Man, Hunter x Hunter, Sword Art Online, Black Clover, good things are to come with an action vet like him on board. And if you're like, okay, that's cool, but what will he actually do? In anime, you have what's called animation directors, who somewhat act as a quality controller for the episode's animation and drawings. They often will check over the work by the animators and apply corrections. Sometimes might be minor stuff, while other times it could be a full redraw. However, Yoshihara has a specialist role and will specifically check over the action portions in the show. This is definitely good news. Specialists are in short supply, and again, he has the experience for it, but that's not all. Remember Black Clover's animation? Actually, well, how could anyone forget? Well, even despite the big brain decisions of the higher-ups, creating a production hell for everyone involved, which led to such animation, even amongst all that, Yoshihara would be crazy enough to craft what would be episode 63. And even if you have mixed feelings about it, the fact that he even attempted something like that during such a mess of a production shows, for one, how incredibly ambitious he is, and even if he doesn't get proper support from the studio, he will stop at nothing to achieve it. Really looking forward to what stunning action sequences he's gonna cook up. But with that though, brings us to the end. Hope you learned something new and answered the question. Definitely plan to cover CSM when it drops in October, unless like Dragon Ball Super comes out or something. Also shout out like always to my patrons. But with that, thank you for watching and I'll see you later.